Okay, so how it works when we are switching it on, if you see here, this inductor, let's assume primary ratio is N1 and secondary ratio is N2, depend upon how much you want to stepping down the voltage, you can choose the inductor and the turns ratio accordingly. When we are switching it on, flow of current towards input side will be like this. And you have noticed one thing, that primary and secondary polarity is opposite. This is important here. It is opposite when we are switching it on, the voltage is appearing here at the output side, and this diode is coming as a reverse diode, and there is no flow of current will flow towards the this direction. So when we are switching it on, so what is happening, that this diode is coming at the opposite. This is practically or electrically not coming into the picture, and this circuit will be isolated, electrically isolated. So when they switch on, primary current towards inductor, it will shoot like this because of the inductor property at the T on, and secondary current, because this diode is not there, there is no secondary current will flow. Okay, and primary voltage will be again chopped, and load voltage here in this case it is smooth at the output voltage. I'll tell you why. Now when we are switching it off, what's happening, that this particular transformer will act as a energy source, and it will start dissipating the energy in the form of current. In that case, electrically this polarity will be reversed. Why it is reversed? Because instead of accepting energy, it is started transmitting the energy or current, so it is reversed. So when it's reversed, the polarity is going to change from here to here, and in now diode will come into the picture because the flow of current will be like this. So here is the circuit here. So flow of the current will be like this. Voltage at the secondary side will depend upon N1 by N2, right? So what is the turns ratio you have selected, that will play important role here, right? So now if you see, primary side there is no current, so this will be 0. Secondary side, so now it's important, secondary side there will be current. Now it depend upon turns ratio versus the primary, and voltage at the primary side, voltage appearing here when it was on, and when it is off, if you see, there is a small voltage coming as a negative side. This is nothing but back EMF, because now this is a transformer. When this voltage is appearing here as a transformer effect, the same N2 by N1 voltage will appear here. So this voltage here, and to address this voltage, there is a snubber circuit where uh, came into the picture. If you remember, there is a this circuit has come into the picture when there is a voltage back EMF appearing here. To suppress this voltage is appearing here. This circuit is appearing here, right? Similarly, the another mode, when again it's switched on, same it is following like this. So flyback converter is very important. This also work in two modes. One is discontinuous current mode, and another is continuous current mode, CCM and DCM. Uh, Many of you know that SMPS technology is nothing but flyback converter. Most of the time they have used. Let's talk about discontinuous current mode. When this discontinuous current mode is there, like I said, current is not going to zero, so we'll have a very smooth current at the output. So when we have very smooth current at the output, that is definitely it's good. So what is the disadvantage here? Disadvantage is, because you are kind of storing more energy in the transformer or inductor, you need to have a really high value of inductor. Selecting a high value of inductor, it may increase the size and weight and the cost of the inductor. So if you are trying to make a very small and handy board for SMPS, selecting of current continuous mode may have a very big challenge for you, because your transformer or inductor size will be huge. and bulky. Selecting the discontinuous current mode. What is the disadvantage? So when you are selecting discontinuous current mode, of course, the size of the inductor, because you are storing less energy, size of the inductor will be really low, cost will come down and will be handy. But again, you are going to compromise with ripple and harmonics. So in that case, you can also select some of filters towards the output side to smoothen the voltage and current. So now it's a trade-off, right? What is your requirement? And if it is really precise and you need a very low harmonics and very less ripple at the output, you can select a high value inductor. But in case if you need a low size, handy and cheap SMPS, you can select in discontinuous current mode with some additional filters. So that depend upon the designer and the application. Now, coming to important thing of the closed loop control, right? Like I was talking about how we are going to select the duty ratio, and the question may arise that whether duty ratio is fixed. Let's say 40% of duty ratio, whether it is fixed. Answer is it depend upon you. Now, if you want to have a closed loop control, that means let's say output is varying. I have just selected one of the buck converter. Let's say output is having some load perturbation. This is basically having some transients or load changing at the output side due to, let's say, if you have some no load versus full load requirement of certain application. In that case, definitely you want to have a closed loop control, right? So when I said closed loop control, duty ratio is not constant. It cannot be 40% or 50% or whatever you are selecting at once. So it will be varying. So how you are going to decide what will be the duty ratio and continuously varying duty ratio? In that case, you need to design a closed loop control such a way your duty ratio will be automatically selected based upon your load requirement. So here, this is one very simple example of closed loop control where you are measuring a voltage at output, right? And you have input voltage requirement. Now, with a comparator, you will find the error at this point. With the error, most commonly used at a PI control, where Kp and Ki. Now, while tuning Kp and Ki, it is tricky. Sometimes there are multiple different stability analysis required to find out what will be the Kp and Ki. And there is another way you can do the simulation with a small circuit using any simulation tool and try to do hit and trial for Kp Ki. And finally, with some saturation or trigger, you are finally selecting what will be the switching frequency here, or ultimately you are selecting the pulse width of PWM pulses, that is pulse width of MOSFET, and you are triggering the MOSFET according to your input. So this is the very simple, and it can be applied anywhere, any of the DC-DC controller. Yeah, so coming to major market players, Texas Instruments, Maxim Integrated, Linear Technology, Microchip, NXP, Analog Devices. Not limited to these companies. There are hundreds other companies who are making DC to DC converters, SMPS, for various applications. Let's say for automotive or LED or anywhere. But these are the major market players, or you can say renowned. Typical job roles you see into the market coming to electronics, electronic engineer. They say sometimes design engineer, sometimes they say electronic engineer. Also, sometimes you see the requirement is hardware engineer or test engineer as well, or validation engineer, where you need to know that about working of DC to DC converters functionality and how the each and every points waveform is appearing. You must know that calculations for designing DC to DC converters. Experience, they usually at least they say minimum 1 year of experience they need, 1 year to 5 years as a design engineer level with the educational qualifications. Usually company asks for bachelor's or master's in electronics or electrical engineering. Sorry, it's a typo here. Now, when they ask for what's the typical job roles, usually if you see company they ask for, you must have hands-on SMP topologies. So SMP is nothing but switched mode power supply. So in corporate world, they won't ask as a buck converter or boost converter. Most commonly used word is SMPS, that is switched mode power supplies. So when you say topology, that means you must know each and every topologies of DC to DC converter. Like I have explained that flyback converter that was most commonly used. Yeah, and you must know each and every components, that is active and passive components. That means you must know each and every resistors, diodes, about that, its characteristics. While selecting the components also, it's very important when you go and select the components, because SMPS design or DC-DC converter design is not enough. There are multiple other challenges also come, and usually it is design engineer's responsibility to overcome those challenges. One of the major challenge, it is called EMI EMC, right? So when I talked about CCM and DCM, I there is a also a biggest challenge come. It's called EMI/EMC. That means when you have a switching converters, which is actually switching more than 100 megahertz, there is a major issue is coming, that is called conducted and radiated emission, and this is very important. Most of the electronics industry, when they create any DC-DC converters or any standard products of electronics, they have to comply with IEC standard, and one of the IEC standard is important, where each and every company need to comply related with the EMI EMC. So for that, you must know, let's say your circuit is kind of not falling into EMI EMC, it is radiating much or conducting much. Conducted emission is higher. In that case, selection of active and passive components for filter becomes very important. Simulation tools is also, it is important, because before starting off actual designing on hardware, you must have a simulation done. That is one part, using LTSpice, MATLAB, and MathCAD. So LTSpice is a free tool, freeware you can download and you can start using. MATLAB and MathCAD are not freeware. It is chargeable. You can buy it and use it. LTSpice is a simple circuit. You can just place and uh, plug and place and start simulating. It's very handy. MATLAB is kind of, you can do multiple things. MATLAB is nothing but you can do programming. You can also build the circuit, and also you can do some control stability analysis and design. MathCAD, where you actually do the calculation for circuits. That means you may need to find out, uh, while stability analysis, you may need to find out what is your pole zero compensation, where you want to add the filters to make it stable. So MathCAD is a kind of a tool where when you design the circuit, you also need a PCB, right? So that is called a printed circuit board. Yeah, so that is also part of a design engineer's responsibility. Some of the schematics tools is very popular. Most of the company actually use that is called Cadence Arcade, Altium, Mentor Graphics, PATS, and Eagle. So why these tools are important? That when you design your circuit to work with the PCB manufacturer, these are the common tools where the PCB manufacturer also accept your files into the format. right? So it is important that people should know one of these tools. And the laboratory skills, of course. So you must know the how to test the boards, because there is a high voltage and low voltage appear over there in the circuit. You must know what is the layers of the boards, how you are going to connect it. If there is some static charges there, you must know how to handle the equipments using some uh, electrostatic charge safety, right? So these are the things very important. And of course, you must know that lab safety protocols, because it is very important.